Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Preshaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta, Swamini Namine. नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य वेशधारिणे सार्थायम् अर्जुनस्यादो कुर्वन् गीतामृतं ततो लोकत्रय उपकाराय तस्मै परमात्मने नमः. So we'll be discussing from the 9th chapter. We'll continue. We are, as we said, we are on the just epicenter of Bhagavad Gita, just in the mid of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is presented in 700 verses, and we are discussing the 350 and 351st verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And tomorrow being the Wednesday of Srimati Radharani, in Bhagavad Gita, these two verses speak about Srimati Radha. Verse number 9.13 and 9.14. Many times people challenge that there is no mention of Srimati Radharani in Bhagavad Gita. There is. Like when you drink milk, do you see butter and cheese? Do you see butter and cheese? No. But where is butter and cheese coming from? It is inside. So it is hidden. What you have to do? You have to churn it. Unless and until you know the art of churning, you won't be able to taste it. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita reveals the topmost position of Srimati Radharani. How? Because those who are under the shelter of Srimati Radharani, they are divine. Last week we discussed the verse, Mahatmanas Tumam Partha Devim Prakriti Mashrita, 9.13. As we have two types of living entities, one is called the divine and the other is demonic. So what is the difference? The difference is where they are situated. If we are situated under the divine energy of Srimati Radharani, then one is divine. And if one is under the influence of the illusionary energy that we discussed in 9.12 and 11, that those who are deluded, Mohinim Prakriti Mashrita, Moghasha, Mogha Karmana, Mogha Jnana Vichetasa, Rakshasim Asurim Cheva, Prakritim Mohinim Mashrita. So the journey of a living entity in this human form of life is to elevate from the illusionary energy to come under the shelter of divine energy. And that is Srimati Radharani. Everyone in this world is seeking only one position. You see, everyone's endeavor and aspiration is only one. That how he can be in a capacity where he can better control, better command, or make others do what he desires. That is the aspiration of everyone. Everyone is wanting to be happy. Everyone is wanting to be satisfied. And what they are thinking, that if they have the controllership, if they have the authority or command over others, then they can be happy. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, everyone is wanting to take that position. You see Donald Trump, as soon as he has some power, what is the effect? Is it the proper use of power or misuse? Gross misuse. But the Supreme Personality, everyone is wanting to take that position of the Supreme Personality because he can have that supreme power. So that he can control and command others. So everyone is wanting, that is the most covetous position in the world, to become the President of United States of America, the most powerful country. But think, one who wants to take the position of the Supreme Lord. So that the entire world is seeking after this prime position. But the Supreme Lord is trying to seek the position of Srimati Radha. The Supreme Lord wants. It is fine. If you overuse technology, it is a curse. Restrict it. So the Supreme Lord is not satisfied with his own position. He is wanting the position of Srimati Radharani. Because Srimati Radharani is the goddess of devotion. Radha Purna Shakti, Krishna Purna Shaktiman. So Krishna is the supreme powerful, is the Shaktiman. And Radha is Shakti, she is the energy. But the energetic wants to experience the happiness, the transcendental happiness of his own energy. Like the sun. What are the energies of the sun? Heat and light. There is no meaning to sun if there is no heat and light. Yeah. So the energies of the sun are heat and light. And heat and light is inseparable from the sun. If there is sun, there must be light. And if there is sun, there must be heat. So similarly, Srimati Radharani is the energy of the Supreme Lord. But they have assumed two bodies. Why? To exchange the transcendental mellows, rasa, aswadana. That is similarly why we have marriage, why the girl and boy decides to have marriage. The purpose is to expand the family. What is the need to expand the family? Once one IAS officer, a big high-ranking IAS officer, he came and met our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. And he said, Swamiji, in India we have so many temples and hardly anyone goes to the temple. It is like, this abandoned place. So why you are opening new temples? Why you are opening new temples? You take those temples and do your business. So Prabhupada questioned him that, are you married? His wife was along with him. So he said, yes, Swamiji, this is my wife. Then Prabhupada asked, do you have children? And he said, yes, I have children. So then why did you get children? When there are so many orphans on the street, why don't you adopt those children? Where is the need for you to have children when there are so many orphans? Why? Where is the need? Because this is the firm belief that your child, my child, will increase my pleasure. He will add happiness to my life. That is why people have children, otherwise where is the need to have children? It's such a big burden. And when children grow up, they ask this question that what have you done for me? So the purpose is to expand one's happiness. So the Supreme Lord, when he wants to expand his own happiness, what he does? He expands in the form of Srimati Radharani, his energy. And Srimati Radharani is the pleasure-giving potency to Lord Krishna. She is the Ladhini. Ladhini means that gives bliss and happiness to Krishna. So the world is seeking the position of Lord Krishna because Krishna is full of all opulences, all riches. Everyone wants to be rich, and all power, all beauty, all knowledge, all strength, and all renunciation. But Krishna is seeking the position of Srimati Radharani. So, in a way, the position of Srimati Radharani is higher than the position of Lord Krishna. That is why we always say Radha Krishna. Who comes first? Radha. You see our deities? You have the calendar? What we write? we write Shri Shri Radha Parthasarathi. Or we write Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. Who comes first? Radha. When we chant Hare Krishna also, Hare means the potency of Lord Krishna, which is Srimati Radharani. So Radharani takes the foremost position. Why? Because he is the foremost devotee of Lord Krishna. So one who takes shelter of Srimati Radharani, such a person is called Mahatma. That is what we are discussing. Today we will discuss that what are the symptoms of such soul who are under the shelter of the divine energy of Srimati Radharani. Okay? So we will take the 14th verse in the 9th chapter. We discussed the 13th verse in the last session. So there are different classes of worshippers, and those worshippers who are dedicated, those who are divine, they are mentioned here in this section of the Bhagavad Gita. The 14th verse is Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dridhavrata Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nityayukta Upasate Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dridhavrata Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nityayukta Upasate Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dridhavrata Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nityayukta Upasate. Your turn to recite. Okay, Devyansh is always optimistic. Go ahead.
Satatam Kantayanto Mam
Satatam Kirtayanto Mam
Yatancha Dutavartata
Yatantascha Dridhavrata
Namastasya Ma Bhaktya
Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya
Nityukta Upastake.
Nityayukta Upasate. Never mind. You see, when the child begins to speak, is he able to speak the word? No. In his broken language, whatever he speaks, it gives so much of joy to the father and mother. So our Supreme Father is Lord Krishna. So one, if you are attempting, but here become little more attentive in hearing. When we are reciting, then hear attentive. Then you'll be able to pick it up. Okay? Thank you. Thank you for the effort. Hare Krishna. Someone else please try. If you don't try, then how will you recite? When the child begins to walk, what happens? Is he able to walk? He falls. And how many times he falls? How many times he falls? Millions of times. But does that fall impede his walking? No. So those who do not try, then how they will succeed? Hare Krishna. So many of you, give it a try. Recite. Recite. Don't give the mic. Okay, you recite loud. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dridhavrata Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nityayukta Upasate. So Krishna in the last verse spoke about those who are under the shelter of the divine nature, that is Srimati Radharani. They are called Mahatmas. those souls who are surrendered, those souls who have dedicated their life in service of the Supreme Lord. And such souls are very rare. In the previous verses, Krishna has already spoken that some Mahatma Sutudivama, very rare. So, what are the symptoms or what are the activities of the Mahatmas? Those who are pure souls, those who are under the divine shelter of the energy of Srimati Radharani. So the first symptom Krishna speaks is they are Satatam. Satatam means always. Always means without interruption. In our practice, what we have? We have so many intervals and interruptions. We begin with a lot of enthusiasm. But what happens? After a few days, it fizzles out. That is not a sign of a Mahatma. Mahatma means that there is no deviation, there is no distraction, there is no degradation. He is constantly in the same platform without any interval or interruption. So it is Satatam. Satatam means moment to moment, without any interval. And what is that Satatam? Kirtayanto. Always glorifying the Supreme Lord, always chanting His glories, always remembering Him, always serving Him. Mam, Krishna is saying, me. Such great souls, they are always engaged in rendering service to Him, without a lapse of even a moment. That is what it means to be 24 hours Krishna conscious and engaged in devotional service. But to be able to do that, to be able to come to this platform of Satatam Kirtayanto, what kind of endeavor is required? What kind of effort is required? Yatantasya Dridhavrata. Yatanta means endeavor, effort. What kind of endeavor? Dridhavrata. A vow has to be taken. They have a firm resolve. With that firm resolve, they do not fall. Dridhavrata. They have taken a fixed vow. So they don't fall. And Namasyantasya Mam Bhaktya. They are always offering me obeisances, their regards, their indebtedness. And Nitya Yuktaha. Yukta means they are always connected. Nitya means eternal. They never feel separation or dissolution from the Supreme. They are always in connection. That means they are always in yoga. Nitya Yuktaha. Yukta means yoga. Yoga means connection. And Upasate means worship. So always chanting my glories, see the translation. Endeavoring with great determination. This is one of the very important aspects of who is a Mahatma. Is effort is with great determination. And bowing down before me, the great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So Prabhupada says that the Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping. You see, many times, people in their own way, they declare who is the Mahatma. But no, Bhagavad Gita does not accept that. What are the symptoms of the Mahatma? Who is the Mahatma? It is clearly mentioned. The Prabhupada says it cannot be by rubber stamp. It is not an official position. It is the position of one's consciousness, one's internal disposition, based on his activities. By rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I'll give you one example. We just celebrated Janmashtami. And you see, Janmashtami is one festival when the Supreme Lord appears at what time? Midnight. And one has to fast till midnight. Lord Ram appears in the daytime. So you can break your fast after daytime. Lord Chaitanya appears at the moonrise. So you can break your fast after moonrise. But Lord Krishna decides to appear in the midnight. So you have to entire day fast. And one feels, so much of tapasya, so much of restraint. So once our founder Acharya, he was in Japan, in a place called Kobe. He was there teaching with his disciples. And one of his disciples, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he gives this anecdote. He says that when it was midnight, so we thought that Prabhupada is going to tell us that now this is the time to break the fast and enjoy the feast. They were starving, and that day they were waiting when the midnight will come, and then we will have a big feast. So Prabhupada asked them to take, a little bit of Charnamrit and asked them to bring his Krishna book. And he said, we will all relish the pastimes of Krishna, so please read. So they read one chapter. It took almost 1 hour. And then he said, please continue the next. Half of them fell asleep. But Prabhupada's enthusiasm was not dampened. The second chapter was read. Then he said, let's continue the third chapter. So this is what? Satatam. Not even stopping for a moment. So Prabhupada is saying here, his symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So when Prabhupada started to preach, in 12 years, he traveled the world 14 times. Entire day, he was meeting so many people and inspiring them to become Krishna conscious. And in the night, he was not sleeping. What he was doing? He was reciting and giving us these books. And how many books he has given? More than 100. 100 books in just 12 years. Why? Because he did not stop even for a moment. This is what is being taught. The absorption and the relishment is so much, so intense that one cannot stop. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. So what are these books of Srila Prabhupada? It is the glorification of the Lord. He continued and continued. He has given us so many books that even one lifetime is short to study these books. He did so much in 12 years. He opened 108 temples in more than 108 cities of the world. At what age? At the age of 80. At the age of 80, an old man can hardly walk. So this is the sign of a Mahatma. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. There are two types of persons. One is called personalist. Personalist means whom you can see, feel, talk, reveal, share. That is person in person. And impersonalist means that there is no relationship. So the Mahatma is a personalist. He is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name. You see, we all hear ISKCON. And what is ISKCON known as? Worldwide, the Hare Krishna movement. And what is Hare Krishna? Glorification of Radha and Krishna. So the movement itself is known as the movement of glorification of Radha and Krishna. So much Prabhupada has made everyone hear and chant Hare Krishna, that the name of the movement has become Hare Krishna. So this is another symptom. He is always praising his holy name, his eternal form, his transcendental qualities, and his uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means his attachment is not to anyone else, but his attachment is to the Supreme Lord. And last time we discussed that how one converts to become a Mahatma. How one becomes a Mahatma? Not by a rubber stamp, as Prabhupada is saying. So how one becomes a Mahatma? In association with actual Mahatma. Like, if you want to be a lawyer, how do you become a lawyer? By reading books, passing the exams. How do you become a lawyer? By practicing with a actual lawyer. If you want to become a surgeon, you become a surgeon by reading books, passing exams. You have to be assistant to a practicing surgeon. This is very important. So how to become a Mahatma? By following in the footsteps of, as simple as that. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmajyoti, is not described as Mahatma. So there are two classes of worshippers of the Lord. One is the impersonal form. Impersonal means they do not believe that the Lord is a person. A very interesting actual incident which happened, I'll share with you. One of our ISKCON sannyasis was traveling. I was traveling to the Middle East, and with him on the co-passenger seat was a Muslim cleric. So they were sitting, and it was a long flight. So they started to converse. So our Maharaj asked that you all pray, you all believe in the concept of prayers, isn't it? You see, all the Muslims also pray. And how many times they pray in a day? 5 times. So Maharaj very politely asked that if you pray, then you have this trust and belief that Allah hears. And the cleric said, yes, of course. That is why we pray. Because he hears. If he hears, that means he has ears. Otherwise, how can he hear? So that means he is a person. So the cleric said, yes, he is a person, but I cannot accept it publicly. So what is the possibility of worship if there is no person? Whom you will worship? And what reciprocation you will receive? If I come here and you all are not there, and I speak to the walls, will I come to the next time? Where is the exchange? Where is the rasa? Everyone is looking for that rasa, for that joy, for that bellow. Where is that rasa? The rasa is in relationship. The rasa is in exchange. If there is no person with whom you will exchange, like our scientists went to moon, they say moon landing. And what they found on moon? What is the finding? Sand. If the moon from a distance can give us so much of cooling and soothing rays, so it is a lump of sand. From a lump of sand, such soothing rays will come. The vegetation gets the juices from the moonshine. It is rasatmaka. Sobras is there only. And what the scientists found? Sand. Because they never reached it. They cannot reach it. Not possible. So this is the fallacy. This is the fallacy. So Prabhupada is hammering that a Mahatma is not attached to the impersonal feature, because those people who are worshipping the impersonal feature, then they do not have the comprehension of the absolute. Their knowledge is partial. Many times people say that God is light. You are God is light. But all the light is God. No. The Supreme Lord has one feature, that is that emanates the spiritual light. But he cannot be said as light, like the sun. Can we say the light is the sun? No. It is one of the features of the sun to emanate light. So this is important. So there are three levels of transcendentalist. Srimad Bhagavatam explains that there are three levels of transcendentalist. Like we have students of primary school, we have students of secondary school, and we have students of graduation. They are all students, but they are not the same. Their levels are different. So Srimad Bhagavatam explains that there are three levels of transcendentalists. The first level is those who are impersonalist, who see that the Supreme Lord has no form. There are many religion and faith system which is accepting this feature, that he is not having any personal form. But higher than that realization is the universal form of the Lord. That the Lord is present in everyone's heart as Paramatma. That is called the Paramatma feature. Although we cannot see, can we see ourselves? No. Can we see the Paramatma? No. But if our consciousness becomes pure, then one can experience that by spiritual elevation. But the highest is the feature of Bhagavan, which is the personal feature. So Bhagavad Gita gives us the personal feature. Krishna is himself revealing here that Satatam Kirtayantam. So those who are Mahatma, they are always glorifying me in my personal form. So they are not attached to the impersonal feature, the Brahma Jyoti. He is described in different way in the next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are the 9 processes of performing pure devotional service. And it is very interesting that the first process begins simply by hearing. You are coming here, and what are you doing? It is called Shravana. Shravana. So one who has become expert in Shravana, he will automatically qualify to come to the next stage. What is the next stage? Kirtanam. Kirtanam is what? Glorifying. What he has heard and what he has realized, what he can do, he can share and inspire others. So that becomes Kirtan. Kirtan is not only with Kartan and Vidana. That is also one form of Kirtan. But Kirtan means to glorify the Supreme Lord, like what we are trying to do. But how it will come? Only if there is proper Shravana. If the first stage is not there, then the second stage is not possible. And one who is actively engaged in both Shravanam and Kirtan, so he can qualify for the next stage. What is Smaranam? Smaranam means to remember. How one can have remembrance of the Lord? Do we have remembrance of the Lord? Even we stand in front of the Lord and our mind takes us away so many other ways. It drags us to so many other ideas. Why? Because these two limbs have not been practiced, of Shravanam and Kirtanam. So if Shravanam and Kirtanam is done properly, then there will be automatically Smaranam. Smaranam is the remembrance of the Lord, which is even higher. So these are the practices. So a Mahatma is always engaged. In our society, in our Krishna consciousness society, every day we have morning and evening Shravanam. 8 to 9 in the morning, Srimad Bhagavatam. 8 to 9 in the evening, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Every day. Almost practically 6 days of a week. Seventh day, Sunday, we have Kirtan because the crowd is too much. We need a quieter place to be able to hear. If there is so much noise and so many people, running around, then we cannot hear. So ours is one of the rarest of society where Shravanam is there. Because if Shravanam is properly done, then it will lead us to Smarana. So Prabhupada says he's always active, he's always engaged in the different activities of devotional service, hearing and chanting about Vishnu. Not a demigod and human being. Another aspect is a Mahatma. He clearly knows who is the Supreme Lord and who is the demigod and who is human. If we call a human a demigod or God, it does not become so. So this is very important. Mahatma is very clear that who is the Supreme Lord and who is the demigod. You know what is the demigod? All of you know what is demigod? Devi Devta. Devi Devta. Yeah. Like you see, country has only one prime minister or one president, but there are so many other ministers. So if one calls any minister the prime minister, does he become the prime minister? No, he does not become the prime minister. The prime minister is one who appoints the minister. And what he can do, he can even replace or remove the minister. So any minister does not qualify to become the prime minister. That is devotion. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, and Smaranam. If Shravanam and Kirtanam is properly practiced and applied, then there is possibility of Smaranam, is remembering him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve the ultimate end, the association of the Supreme Lord. So to be able to do that, to be able to come to the platform of constant Shravanam and Kirtanam, Satatam. The word here is Satatam. What one requires is firm determination. If one has devotion, if one has actual devotion, then determination is the natural outcome. That is one very inspiring story. Once a sparrow, a small sparrow, she laid her eggs on the banks of a sea. And in the sea, there are high tides. So a high tide came and all the eggs were washed away in the ocean. So the sparrow became very morose and she was, literally weeping that my, offsprings could not be born because the sea took away my eggs. So she requested the sea many times that please return my eggs. But the mighty sea, the ocean, paid no heed, nothing. So what does sparrow do? Then she became determined. And she said that if you don't return my eggs, what I'm going to do, I'm going to dry you up. So the ocean laughed and said, what, you can dry me? How is it possible for you? But she was determined. So what she did, she went into the ocean, picked water as much as possible in the beak, and came on the shore and split it out. So back and forth she was trying. And when she was trying this news spread in all the bird kingdom. And the king of the bird is Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu. So when he heard that the sea has taken away the eggs of the sparrow, and she is so determined, so Garuda came. And he said, and don't worry, my little one, I will speak with the sea. And he chastised the sea and said that if you don't give back the eggs of the sparrow, then I am going to dry you up. He is the carrier of Lord Vishnu. And as soon as Garuda came into play, the sea returned back to it. Similarly, with our own effort, we cannot overcome the material nature. Material nature is very strong. Maya Duratya. But if we are determined that we will follow the guidance of the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord is there with us, like this sparrow got the backing of Garuda. Maya cannot do anything with us. The illusionary energy cannot bewilder us. But we have to take that first step forward. We have to be determined. So those who are determined, they are able to cross over the illusionary energy. Another symptom of the Mahatma is not only they are constantly engaged, but they are engaged with determination. They are not weak in their determination. In today's generation, this is one of the biggest flaw. What they are lacking, where they are lacking, they don't have the determination. They very easily give up. They cannot resist. So a Mahatma is one who never gives up. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve the ultimate end. And what is his goal? What is the perfection? Is association of the Supreme Lord in any of one of the 5 transcendental rasas. So the purpose of the Mahatma is to forge his and revive his relationship with the Lord. So 5 rasas are there, 5 kinds of relationships are there with the Lord. The first kind of relationship is called the relationship in the passive state. Passive state means like neutral. The second one is little more advanced, where there is servitorship, where the soul takes the position of being a subordinate and he serves the Supreme as his master. There is an exchange. Of course, there is an exchange. The servitor serves and the master receives the service. So there is an exchange. Then higher than this exchange is the exchange where there is a relationship of friendship. It's called the Sakhyas, where the soul considers the Supreme Lord to be his best friend. Krishna is inviting in Bhagavad Gita. He says, Shru hidam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. Krishna says that I am the ever well-wishing best friend of every living entity. So one who fosters friendship with Krishna. So Krishna never fails. So that relationship is of friendship, like Arjuna's. To what extent Krishna extended? Sarthayam Arjunasya. He became the chariot driver. And the chariot driver, how he has to maneuver the chariot. Arjuna used to tap the shoulder of the Supreme Lord with his foot, because there was so much uproarious loud singing. If he would have shouted at the top, Arjuna could not have spoken and Krishna could not have heard. So if they were to go straight, Arjuna would tap both his feet on both the shoulders. That would be an indication that take my chariot forward. If he was to take a left turn, he would tap on the left shoulder with his left feet. Who will do that position? Which friend will agree? Krishna agreed. So if we want to really have friendship, then we should have foster relationship with Krishna. Is called the Sakhyas. So Krishna is inviting. He is inviting through Bhagavad Gita. He is saying, Sir, Suridam Sarvada, I am the ever well-wishing friend of everyone. And even higher than that is the relationship of becoming mother and father of Krishna. That is called the Vatsalyas. Now some devotees worship Krishna in Vatsalyas, when they consider Krishna to be their son. Krishna takes greater joy in obeying their command than giving them command. In this world, everyone thinks he will be happy if his orders are followed, if his authority is accepted. In every relationship where there is a conflict, what is the cause of conflict? There is only one reason. The reason is of controllership. In every relationship, when this controlling attitude comes, that relationship fails and falls. But if it is actually relationship, then the beloved is happy to serve his beloved. So Krishna is taking the position of becoming subordinate to his loving devotees. So that is the relationship of Vatsalya. And Krishna also gives the highest relationship, which is the conjugal love, which is the Madhurya Ras, where you treat him as your lover. So these are the 5 relationships. So Mahatma is absorbed in one of the 5 relationships with the Supreme Lord. One of the 5 to achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal. Everything in the service of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. So he is fully alert, he is fully awake, and he is fully engaged in activities of Krishna consciousness. He does not waste even a moment. So how to come to this stage of being a Mahatma? How to elevate oneself? So Prabhupada gives a very practical process here. He says that in devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined. So how one can come to the determined stage? It begins from step 1, such as fasting on certain days. So how to be determined? First thing is control the tongue. If you cannot control the tongue, then it is impossible to control other senses. If you cannot control the senses, it is impossible to control the mind. If it is impossible to control the mind, you cannot control the ego. Can you control? We all lose control, even from the level of our senses. Actually, we are all slaves of our mind and senses. Whatever the mind and senses command and dictate, we very sheepishly just follow. A Mahatma means one who has conquered his mind and senses. That is called Goswami. Go means the senses, and Swami means the Lord, the controller. So how the process begins, that fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi, and on the appearance day of the Lord. So on the appearance day of the Lord, we observe Vrata. We must observe. What happens? If you do that, you get purified. And only purified mind and senses can be controlled. I'll give you a practical example. If you want to enjoy the horse ride, if you take a wild horse from the jungle, can you enjoy the ride? What will happen? The horse is going to ride you. Is going to throw you out. Only those horses which are trained. Those who are trained, then you can enjoy the ride. So similarly, if we have our mind and senses, which is completely wild and crazy and uncontrolled, there is no possibility for you to be determined. How do you lose your determination? Have you ever evaluated? Does someone from outside come and dissolve your determination? Who is the devil? Our own uncontrolled mind. How to win over the mind is by giving him restraint. And how to begin the restraint? On those auspicious days, simply fasting. I was reading, there's a big survey, one of the top institutes of the world. You know how you can overcome the threat of cancer? You know how you can overcome the threat of cancer? Yeah, by fasting. If you are fasting for long hours, then the abnormal growth, what is cancer? The abnormal growth of cells. Simple. So if you are fasting, and if we observe this principle of fasting in our life, all the food problem will be solved. There will not be any dearth of food. Very important, but there is no point in fasting without any divine empowerment. So that empowerment is coming on fasting on the days of the appearance of the Lord. Like tomorrow we have Radhashtami. We will celebrate the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. Come to our temple and see what a big party we will have. We are preparing prasadam for almost 10,000. Big celebration. So we will observe fasting till 12. We will not be eating till 12. Those who have health issues, they normally take some fruits or some juices. This is important because it purifies our own existence. It purifies our mind and senses. So these are the regulations. So Prabhupada is talking about these regulations. That there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days like the 11th day of the moon, which is Ekadashi. And on the appearance. So Ekadashi, we must fast. It is very scientific. If 2 days you fast in a month, in 15 days you give your digestive system one rest. It works very well. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these rules and regulations, what we have to observe and what we have to give up is given by Mahatmas. Acharyas are Mahatmas. So as Prabhupada has already explained that how one becomes a Mahatma by following the other Mahatmas. So how do we follow that rules and regulations which are given by these Mahatmas? We accept and apply and align our heart. So one is able to come to the stage where he can get association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatma great soul strictly observe all these rules and regulations. So how to know that you are progressing towards Mahatma? The rules and regulations you will easily follow. There will not be any difficulty. Why? Because you are convinced a man against his will is of the same opinion still. Have you heard this saying? A man against his will is of the same opinion still. That is why we see years pass, decades pass, lifetimes pass. But our bad habits remain the same. They don't change. Body will change, age will change, but habits will not change. Why? Because the conviction is not there inside. So, if you follow the rules and regulations strictly means not giving up. There will be some difficulty, which is going to be there because our mind is not tuned to it. Mind says, why should I fast? I should eat more. I should eat lunch. Because our default setting says that you can enjoy by eating. Even if you eat and you fall sick, but that default setting does not change. Does it change? Does not change. So that default setting to be changed from the illusionary energy to come to the divine energy, what we have to do, we have to follow the rules and regulations given by the Mahatmas. And therefore they are sure to achieve the desired. Prabhupada says success is sure for a rigid practitioner, not for a casual person. Casual person means casualty. So if you are determined, and how the determination will come? Determination will come by following, not on its own. If you follow, you will be empowered. If you don't follow, then there is no possibility. As described in the second verse of this chapter, not only is this devotional service easy. What was the second verse? Anyone remembers? Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram, Idam, Uttamam. That Pratyakshramagavamam dharmyam Susukham. By following these rules and regulations, what you will experience? Susukham. I'll give you one example, one very practical example. How these rules and regulations are there for our own benefit. Like we all travel, we travel outside. When we travel on the road, what we have to follow? Some rules and regulations, some traffic rules. If the government decides to remove all the rules and regulations, what will be the result? Just think, what will be the result? There will be so many accidents, so many people will die. The rules and regulations are just to ensure our safety and we can reach our destination. If we remove, so this is foolishness. Many times, people say, मैं चाहे ये करूं, मैं चाहे वो करूं, मेरी मर्जी. It's a foolish person. His consciousness is covered. The person who is elevated knows that the rules and regulation is there for his own benefit, for his own protection, for his own assuring that he will reach his destination with safety. Prabhupada is saying here that therefore they are sure to achieve the desired result. So it begins by following. So in our society we have the 4 regulative principles, the very basic 4 rules and regulations to follow. It is based on 4 aspects of dharma. The first is satya, to remain always truthful. So how do one remains truthful? We're telling, speak to me after 40. What is the time? 8:50. So how to remain truthful? When you are not misrepresenting. So the first prohibition is not to be engaged in gambling. Because in the business of gambling or speculation, what you will do? Will you speak the truth? No. So we don't want any income from any illegal source. So the prohibition is no gambling and no speculation. Because this is the easy way of getting money without working hard. And everyone in this world, the big disease now which has happened is this online gaming. Online gaming is happening. And what it is going to do? It is going to bankrupt the new generation. Every day we are finding out how they are sucking money. Initially they will throw the gambit. After 1 or 2 times you will win. And you will think this is the best way to earn. Ultimately we will lose everything. So Satya means not to misrepresent, to speak the truth. Satya means to be able to speak the truth even to your enemy without misrepresentation. So the prohibition is no gambling. Second is tapasya, austerity. Human life is a life of discipline. Animal life, there is no discipline. Animal life, is there any discipline? No. So we are all, very rapidly marching towards becoming without any discipline in life. So where are we leading? What are we becoming? Advanced. The animal is running on 4 legs and Prabhupada said the man is running on 2 legs. This is the advancement. So austerity means no intoxication. A person who is intoxicated cannot do any fasting, cannot have any restraint. So no intoxication, not including even tea and coffee. No cigarettes, no drugs, no drinking. Because if a person is drunk, if he is under the influence of alcohol or nicotine, then his senses are wild. He cannot control the senses. Can he control the senses? No, the senses will control. Even a child says no. This cigarette warning is there on top of every pack. But see, where is the restraint? Where is the control? This is called intoxicated. They are intoxicated. So similarly, there are 4 related principles. The third is daya. mercy. So to be able to experience that mercy in our life, we should not kill anyone else. So the prohibition is no meat eating. We don't cut the throat of any other living entity to satisfy our taste buds. So whatever comes naturally from the plant, from the vegetation, we accept. And fourth is no illicit sex. In the institution of human life, we have marriage. Animal life, there is no marriage. So now you know well, what should I say? Where is our society advancing? The system of marriage is becoming weaker. Why? Because people want to have illicit sex. So these four things are restricted. There are four fundamental regulations. If we observe these four regulative principles, then the possibility of sinful life becomes less. And if you don't sin, if you don't commit sin, you will not suffer. All the suffering is coming not on its own accord, not because of your bad luck or bad time, because we are committing sins. To the extent one is committing sin, he will be inflicted by the reaction of suffering. So how to be free from suffering? Have to be free from sins. How to be free from sins? When we observe these rules and regulations. So these are some of the important thoughts Prabhupada is highlighting here. That so if you perform devotional service, it will give us the great joy and satisfaction. Sukham. That is there in the second verse. One does not need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. He can live this life of devotional service guided by an expert spiritual master. And in any position, either as a householder or as a sannyasi or as a brahmachari, or in any position and anywhere in the world, he can perform this devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become actually Mahatma, a great soul. So I conclude here. So this is the admirers, those who follow, those who are the devotees of the Lord, the Mahatmas. So they also become Mahatmas. So, and how to become a Mahatma? By following the rules and regulations. Simple. And what are these rules and regulations? These rules and regulations are for our own safety, for our own safeguard, to be able to achieve the true success in human form. Hare Krishna. So I will close here and stop here. And you're welcome to inquire. If you have any question or doubt, you may ask. You want to ask a question? Okay, give him the mic.
So, when after becoming a sannyasi, how to be pass knowledge to others who are ignorant?
Oh, good question. What are you experiencing now?
I think so.
No, you were in a class. You were in a class in a session. And what are you gaining?
Knowledge.
It's a practical demonstration. But it cannot be passed on without applying and realizing it. You have to first practice, apply it in your life, and then you can share and inspire others. You don't have to become a sannyasi for that. Prabhupada is mentioning here. In any position, even if you are a householder or in any position of life. What is more important? How do you gain knowledge? What is the process? We just discussed. Shravanam. Shravanam. Here, Hearing is not done with ears. How is the hearing done? With heart. No, mind is fickle. Mano dur nigraham chalam. It is always moving. It is never steady. Because the soul is where? The soul is in the heart. Who has to be awakened by the process of hearing? The soul, which is sleeping, which is dormant, which is covered. So if you attentively hear, it penetrates the levels of senses, mind, ego, and then the awakening of the soul comes. People do not believe in Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why? Because they have never experienced the power of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why? Because they have not chanted and heard the mantra. The mantra is not penetrating inside to awaken the soul. This mantra is meant to awaken the soul. But for that, you have to hear. Our hearing is deflected at the level of our mind. We are not able to hear. Are we able to hear? Hardly hear. It has to be practiced. And what is the practice? By observing rules and regulations. So how knowledge can be acquired? By hearing. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So you also have a question. Okay, please ask.
Where is brain take fast?
Come again.
Where is brain take fast?
Brain?
Take fast.
Brain? Yeah. Okay. Good question. Now, what is the function of the brain? Now, what is the function of the brain? Thinking. Thinking. Very good. There are three aspects to it. Thinking, to no, that is not brain. That is the senses. Be little thoughtful. So the brain gives us the power of discrimination. Brain, when we say, it is the function of intelligence. So what does intelligence do? It gives us the power of discrimination. What to do and what not to do. So what is fasting of intelligence? Not to allow us to do sinful activity. Even though the senses will be calling, the senses will be desiring and demanding. But if intelligence is resolute, yeah, please come. Yeah, please come. If the intelligence is resolute, then the person will not become prey to the desires and demands of the senses. Because higher than senses is the mind, and higher than mind is the intelligence. So we will not come later. We are dealing with our own mind. How to deal with the mind? With spiritual intelligence. Yeah. So intelligence has to be spiritualized. Very good. Reward the answer. So the fasting of the brain or the intelligence is not to align with material ideas. Not to give up to material propositions. Will you fast? Good. Okay. Okay. Online, anyone has any question, you can ask. Hare Krishna. Chant the mantra full. You can get the full meaning. So thank you very much. All glories to Bhagavad Gita and all glories to the assembled persons. So we will try and meet next week. So Krishna will speak about others, those who are not Mahatmas. So, what kind of worship they follow? So we saw this worship of the Mahatmas, that they are in resolute determination and they follow the rules and regulations very strictly. But there are others. They will speak about others in the next section.